always wanted to say that. I feel like a web show host or something. Hello, everyone. You can see us. We can't see you. I know there are a lot of familiar faces in the audience. Okay, see, the first ones are already saying hi. Azadeh, hey. Bart, hi. Irene. Super nice to see that you guys are all here. Hey, so many people. That's awesome. Okay, so I am actually super happy to hear. Let me turn up the sound. I'm super happy to see that so many of you guys are showing up and so many of you are interested in this event. Obviously, from the title, you can probably guess that it's an event that matters, right? The topic is super important, and I actually am super excited to be partnering up with OfferZen for this event. For the ones who don't know OfferZen, it's a company that is an online tech marketplace for developers, and it was actually created by developers. So what they do is, you know, if you're a developer, the only thing you want to do is you want to build awesome stuff, right? You want to build awesome software, and that is actually exactly what OfferZen is helping developers to achieve. They actively connect people that make software, like some of you, with companies in not only in Europe but also in South Africa, you know, to create job opportunities that are actually exciting. And the thing that OfferZen does differently is that they actually flip the normal recruitment process around, and they have companies reach out to you in advance with an upfront salary information. So in case some of you, and I know some of you, are still looking out there, check out OfferZen, check out their website, and maybe they actually might be able to help you get that job that you want so desperately. Okay, before we kick things off, I want to say that this session is interactive. You guys know, you've had workshops with me. I always want you guys to participate, be part of whatever we do, okay? So in order to see who's there and what we're doing, we're gonna go a little bit through how Livestorm works, okay? So everything that you're saying, general banter, anything you want to say or any comments that you have, please put them in the chat tab. Any questions that you have for me or for the speakers, put them in the questions tab. And I mean, all of you already said hi. That's I don't have to ask for participation anymore, so I think we can skip that part. There's a little announcement that we have to make. I personally am a big fan of OfferZen merch. I have a shirt of them myself. And part of this event is also that we will be giving out merch from OfferZen. The only thing that you have to do is create a post on your socials, tag IronHack, tag OfferZen, use the hashtag OfferZen swag, and you might be getting a super cool t-shirt with a space sloth on it, because that's the one I have, and I absolutely love it. Okay, so Bart, I knew this one would be for you. I knew it. So make sure to make a post. All right. So today we have two speakers from OfferZen. We have Ali and Simone. Both are talent advisors at OfferZen. And to kick things off, they're just going to introduce themselves and take it from here.
Cool. Thanks, Naheem. I appreciate it. Hello, everyone. IronHack family and possibly beyond. I'm Ali. I'm an EU talent advisor at OfferZen. Been working here, well, at the company for about 3 years, helping build and grow our marketplace. Originally in South Africa, and then last year we launched in the Netherlands, which is super exciting. And I've been working with candidates in the Netherlands since then. And during my time over the last 3 years or so, I have successfully helped probably over 300 candidates find their next job.
Cool. Hi, guys. My name is Simone. I've been a talent advisor for under a year in the EU. And previously, I was a talent advisor in South Africa, so I have extended knowledge on different kinds of marketplaces. I've just got over a year of experience in the tech recruitment marketplace, and so I've spoken to candidates from different walks of life, all trying to win in the job search process. So it's around like 500 candidates in the past 60 days, so all looking for a new role during COVID-19. Basically, I have the knowledge that can assist people in acing their tech job search in this new remote world. Cool. So first off, just to get an idea of what you guys have been experiencing, we want to get an understanding of, what has been your biggest change since the pandemic hit the job search, or the job market rather. So just head on to the little poll section and submit your vote.
Interesting.
Cool. Okay, cool.
Sim, what are you seeing? Looks like the round of first interviews is taken.
Yeah, less opportunities, very much so, something we'll definitely touch on. More job seekers in the market, that's definitely surprising, considering, just how the market's been acting. But perhaps just with the companies recovering and stuff like that, it might have upped the marketplace opportunities. But it's very interesting to see your guys' experience. Thank you. Cool. So basically what we're going to go through today, why it's important, as you've shown in your votes, you've been experiencing a change. And what we want to do is basically help you, the candidate, ace your job search in the COVID-19 world. So there have been significant changes in the hiring space since COVID-19 due to a world becoming more remote. And with these changes, you can self-sabotage your process without even knowing it. So we just want to make sure that anyone in the job search process is set up to win, even in our newly remote world. I mean, if 67% of companies have freezed hiring or reduced hiring processes, there's definitely been that significant change. I mean, it's over half of the total opportunities available. But the problem with the marketplace as well is that tech roles have stayed pretty constantly in high demand, but with some companies not being tech focused and being affected by COVID-19, the playing field has changed. The marketplace and what you're against has changed.
Definitely. And I think we saw a sneaky pick as what you guys are seeing, similar things that we're seeing. So we've got two things that we want to cover today. We're going to start off with straight up COVID-19 impacts, what we've seen over the last year and a bit in terms of the sort of job market. Then we're going to look at navigating the hiring process, so getting to the tech assessment and beyond, hopefully. And then we'll end off with landing it, so practical tips for landing your tech role. So how has COVID-19 changed recruitment?
Cool. So first of all, I want to mention, as I've brought up before, the market has been oversaturated due to people being retrenched with the impact that the pandemic's had on the economy. So there's a lot more candidates that are concerned with their current job stability. And as soon as a candidate is concerned with those sorts of parts of their job search, you know that they're proactive in their job search. So that's already quite impressive to hiring managers. So you know you're going to be up against a market of very talented people, high quality candidates. And also candidates are entering the job search when they're retrenched due to funding issues, not because they can't do the job. So basically the market has become saturated with a lot of people looking for work, some very desperate, some not that desperate, but with a lot of candidates of high technical quality.
I think we saw some of you indicate that those are some of the struggles that you've been seeing, which I think is interesting now that we have it on a slide as well. But with the economic circumstances, what we've seen on the company side is that there's budget restrictions. Hiring managers who might have had the freedom to hire maybe a team of 5 within, this quarter or this year. Now the people are saying, no, we're looking at 3, maybe 2, if you're lucky. And what the reason for this is basically just because companies are trying to avoid, or trying to reduce the risk of hiring. You can imagine making a bad hire in these times, not only does it cost time, waste a whole interview process, onboarding, etc., but it also costs money. So everyone's kind of really just trying to buckle down and make sure that there's no unnecessary risks taken. And this actually has a really big impact on what you see in the interview process, because it also impacts the hiring manager's mindset when they're going through the interview process with you. And so I wanted to give you a little bit of insight into kind of, what are these people that are interviewing you thinking? What are they going through, so that you can kind of understand and empathize maybe a bit. But as Simone said, the market is oversaturated. So what does that mean for a hiring manager? Well, they are seeing loads and loads and loads of CVs and applications. And it's pretty much just this conveyor belt. And you add the fact that now they don't have as much freedom to hire as many people as they want. They are sort of experiencing this pressure to make sure that they make the right hire. Teams are also quite fragile nowadays. I mean, I know it obviously was a lot worse when it first hit, and I think some companies have just gotten out of the woods, so to speak. Some companies were never remote, and they had to go fully remote within a day. And teams are still figuring that out. So you can imagine the consequence of this on hiring managers is that decision fatigue is really high. They're like overwhelmed by how many applicants and the importance of each applicant. But they also are there's less chances that they are taking on candidates. So the risk aversion is also really high. And what this means as a candidate is that you really need to make yourself stand out, and you really need to make yourself show to the company that actually you're the best person for them to want to interview with you. So I wanted to ask another poll, juicy poll, because we love to engage and get feedback from the audience. So we've been talking about some of the changes we've seen, and we'd just like to know, what has been your biggest struggle in looking for a job since last year? I'll leave everyone a little bit of time so we can answer. What we're seeing come through, it seems to be battling between no interview requests and heavy competition, which I think very much mimics what Simone and I have been mimicking so far. So it seems like what we're seeing on the talent advisor side is pretty much what you are seeing on your side as well, or what you're feeling. A little bit of can't find the time seems to be something that's there. I think maybe that's got to do with living and working at home. But heavy competition seems to be winning at about 40, it keeps bouncing between 40 and 39%, which I think, to be honest, I think that's probably one of the biggest things we've noticed as well, and that's what we started with. So thanks very much for the feedback. I really appreciate it. It's always nice to hear from the audience how you guys are feeling. So the question that we've all been asking ourselves and waiting for is, how do I make myself stand out? It's super important, and it's quite difficult.
Can you just imagine the kind of pressure a hiring manager and a company must be feeling at this time, considering what happened to companies, the economy, and also hiring processes during COVID-19? I mean, if you can take that into consideration, then you can definitely understand why you need to make the hiring manager's job easy by showing up and answering 3 questions that they're all going to be asking themselves through any interview process.
What 3 questions you may ask? So these are really important to constantly remember. Any hiring manager, when they're going through an interview process, are asking themselves 3 things. The first one is this candidate going to show up and do the work? Second one is, can this candidate technically do the job that I'm going to offer them? And the third one is, why is my company your dream company? And so these things, keep in the back of your mind. We'll be making reference to them throughout the presentation. And one of my just beginning tips basically is that what hiring managers are looking for is more. And as you guys have said, the poll has said, we have said, there's more competition. So you need to show up fully. You need to show that you have the technical skills, and you need to show that you are passionate about the role as well as the company. These are the things that hiring managers are looking for. They want more, and we need to show up more.
Cool. So practical tips. What can you do right now to better your job search process? First of all, your CV. I promise you, Ali and I go through so many CVs a day, and the amount of CVs that I am so disturbed by, because of, first of all, the length and the way in which they are structured is just, yeah, sometimes it can be really messy. And that's fair. I mean, no one teaches someone like a standardized CV that you should put out there. You kind of have to make it up as you go along. So here are our like sort of tips just from what we've done and what we've worked with. Basically, making a great CV is super important. You've got to counteract that saturated market. And this is the first time that hiring managers are introduced to you. So you need to make a great first impression. So make it as clear and concise and neat as possible. Hiring managers are looking at a lot more CVs at the moment, so you need to stand out a lot more than you would have had to before COVID-19. So just make it as easy as possible to read through. And another really important tip, you need to try and play into the hiring manager's expectations through your CV. That doesn't mean lie and kind of like, you know, brown nose it, so to say, but rather make it obvious why they should have the first interview with you. So it's going to be really important to think about the role here, the company itself that you're applying for, and if your skills match that, what the company is looking for. And if they don't, to kind of address what you are missing. The next question to ask is, how do you present yourself in an interview? And how should you be presenting yourself?
I'll take over from here. So definitely making a good, strong CV is the first point of call. And a lot of the information that you'll be doing research on to make this strong CV, preferably, you know, for different companies, is you got to do your research, guys. It's so important. There's no such thing as over preparation when it comes to an interview process. You kind of want to take this like exam approach, right? You want to learn everything that you can about the company and almost picture as if the first interview you're preparing for the final interview. If you do make it to the final interview, great, you've done your homework already, but it definitely just makes for a way better first impression. So you want to know what this company does. How do they make money? What is their product? What are their new features? What are they going to be doing in the future? How could you be a good asset to them? You want to have this knowledge at hand so that the first interview, it's easy to talk about this kind of stuff. I do want to say though, with over research, sometimes can come this expectation where you get asked a question and you don't know the answer and you kind of go like, oh, I'm going to make this up on the spot and see how I go. No. We know when you're not telling the truth. We know when you're not giving a truthful answer, and we know when you haven't done your research. So don't lie. Don't make up something. Rather just say, actually, that didn't come up in my research. More likely, I'll respect you more because you've done research and you said that you didn't know than you try and make up something on the spot, because then I'm like, I don't really know if I want to continue with this person. So don't know the answer. Don't guess. It's okay. The number one thing is you want to make a good impression, and a good impression is showing up, doing the research, and letting them know that you've done it. Sim, you want to take it to the next one?
Cool, yeah. Something that just made me think about a candidate that I've been engaging with, or a lot of candidates that I've been engaging with over the year, but one recently that really showed up to the first interview and put in that extra effort, and the company basically fast-tracked his entire interview process. It is a possibility, not with all companies, but basically just keep that in mind. If you really show up to the first part, you know, you might just make it a lot easier for yourself. Kind of ironic because you got to put in all the effort at the beginning, but I promise it's worth it. Anyways, yeah, so you've nailed the first interview because you took all of Ali's tips from her and you just put them in practice. And now you got into the mid steps of your interview stage. So basically, because you guys are all developers, I mean, we kind of know that this is going to be the technical assessment part. This is the sort of journey of career path you chose. So there will always be technical assessments. It's something I strongly suggest you accept and practice and just ace. A lot of candidates, you know, aren't really good at all of them, perhaps something like a hacker rank test or stuff like that. But the trick is to just really hack this part of the interview process, because companies aren't just looking at your end solution. They're not looking at the assessment as a solution. Rather, they're looking at your process. So there's a lot of ways you can hack this part without actually being like, you know, Steve Jobs. If he was actually that smart, I'm not quite sure. Anyways, so basically what I would suggest you do is when you submit your technical assessment, try and send them a sort of like explanation of your thinking around the process. This basically just gives them a sort of idea of how you think. And because the company wants to know how you work in a team, most software developers do work in a team. It's like a strong part of being a software developer as well, is being part of that cog. And so you need to kind of prove that you can work in their space, in their sort of established processes, especially because cultures are battered and bruised after COVID. Also, another thing you can do is just be reflective of your skill set and what the company is asking from this tech assessment and what they need in this role. You need to notice your knowledge gaps and just think about whether you like the opportunity enough to bridge that gap. Don't lie to yourself if you don't and it seems like a lot of effort and it's really not exciting to you. Rather produce a plan on how you can close this gap, close this connection for now, and keep it as a solid connection that you might want to use later in your career. It's always kind of good to be in good books with everyone in the tech world, especially if you want to further your career. And if you do really like the opportunity and you want to go forwards with it, then just address how you plan on closing those gaps. And also be honest there. Don't like overset yourself. Don't set yourself up to lose by saying, I'm going to learn like how to be an architect by tomorrow. Boom, like excellent. It's not going to happen unless, if it does happen, please let me know because you're a genius and we need to we need to show the world. But anyways, otherwise you just basically need to tell the company how you're going to close those gaps. Don't let any technical gaps sabotage your process. Rather have a commitment to learning than a perfect solution.
Definitely could not have said that better with myself, including all the examples. So yeah, I think this approach just kind of gives hiring managers an idea of what it would be like to work with you rather than just what solution you produce. So keep that in mind. And then, so practical tips for final steps. Now, obviously, we really want to make sure that it's important that we show the company that we are passionate about not only the company itself, but also the role. And so how do we do this? Well, I first want to just let you know that why it's so important. A company it's like they want to be able to answer this question by the time you're in this stage. They want to go, does this candidate love this company? And so the way that you can help answer that question for them is just acknowledge that it starts from the very first touch point. Everything's remote nowadays. The only communication, hiring managers get with you is via email or on this little box called Zoom. And they need to kind of get the sense that this is something you're passionate about from those touch points. So use every form of communication you can to bring that energy level and passion and communication through. Don't be afraid to tell them how keen you are throughout the process, even in the first step, any step. Just say, thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to this. Enthusiasm breeds enthusiasm. I think we all know that when someone's really excited about what you're doing and someone's like, oh my gosh, this project is so cool. I can't wait to work on all these problems. Like, you want to work with that person. I want to work with that person. That's cool. So it's okay. Like, let them know. But I'm going to mimic something that I said earlier. Don't lie. Don't pretend. This will come out in the final step. If you have been telling companies what they want to hear, or at least what you think they want to hear throughout the process, it's likely it will come back to bite you in this final step because it means you're not really being genuine and you're not really being honest. And when they probe into further questions, it will come up and there might be some little holes there that then might ruin your process. So throw yourself 100% into the opportunities that you want 100%. And throughout the process, when you realize it's not the good fit for you, rather close the loop and keep it as a good connection, as Simone referenced earlier. The final thing that I will say, which is maybe a little controversial, I'm not sure how many people have had someone tell them this, but don't be afraid to tell a company, listen, I will accept this offer if you give it to me. And don't be afraid to tell them what it is that you need in order to accept. You've just gone through this whole song and dance. Why are you going to play games at the end? If you like them and you're keen, tell them. Be like, listen, guys, I really enjoyed the final interview. Everything XYZ is looking great. I'm ready to sign if you are. Just tell them, answer the question for them, and it will be a lot easier in terms of them being reassured that this is the company for you. So we really wanted to kind of explain these practical tips in real world examples. Simone and I have made reference to the fact that we have worked with loads of candidates in our whole time as TAs, as well as obviously during COVID. And these may not be real people, but they are real examples. I'm just using Jane and John as a classic example of mistakes made in the first steps. So how you can really show up fully in this sort of remote COVID-19 space in the first steps. And I'll use the example of Jane and John. So say I'm a hiring manager and I'm doing my sourcing, la-di-da, and I come across John's profile. Senior candidate, super technical, ticks all the boxes on what I'm looking for. Fabulous. Send him a message. Hi, John, how's it going? I'd love to set up an interview with you. So John replies, hi, Ali. Thanks for reaching out. I'm available Thursday, 2 p.m. Cheers. Now, there's nothing wrong with this, but he doesn't really give me much joy or excitement, and there's not much engagement there. He didn't really ask me what he could expect. He didn't ask me anything about my company, didn't ask me anything about me. So I'm just kind of like, okay, let's see how this goes. So I continue my sourcing, keep the pipeline full, and there's plenty of candidates to look through. And I come across Jane, slightly more junior, has the skills that we see, but probably needs to learn a little things. But you know what? She seems lovely. Let's reach out to her. And so I send Jane a message. Hi, very much the same as what I said to John. And her initial response already sets a completely different tone. So she's saying, hi, Ali, thank you so much for reaching out to me. I've actually done a little bit of research on your company, and I see that you've recently launched this product. I think that this would be fantastic for me to work on. Please let me know if there's anything else that I can specifically prepare for our interview and what I can expect. Who will I be speaking to? Is it just going to be an introductory chat? Is there technical components? Jane has brought it. She's bringing the energy. She's showing up fully, exactly what it is. And already I'm like, okay, well, this woman is giving me what I need, and I'm way more excited to move forward with her. So fast forward, whoop, now we have the actual interview, and I'm like, cool, John, not that excited, but again, technical strength, so let's chat. And we have the call, and it's kind of easy breezy. You can feel that this candidate's been around the block, not the first rodeo, not the first interview. And he answers questions about himself fairly easily, what projects he's worked on, conflict management, the whole la-di-da, we've all been there. But at the end of the interview, there's not really much engagement with me, doesn't really ask much questions. There wasn't really much reference around showing that he knew a lot about the company, just kind of the basics. And so I end the interview feeling a little underwhelmed, but like, okay, I guess I could move through with the guy. Then let's take Jane. So now I'm already excited. I had a good impression of her from the beginning. I kind of feel like this is going to be a good interview. From the minute she picks up the phone, it's already electric. We are like chatting through all of the different things. We fly through my questionnaire before I even know it. We end up spending more time on the interview on her questions. She's asking me about my team. She's asking me who she's going to work with. She's asking about our goals, our future, our mission. She's mentioning about different projects that she's seen on blog articles or LinkedIn. This woman has done her homework. And it's so easy to talk to her because I can actually feel like there's so much to talk about. It's so easy. There's none of this like, and needless to say, I'm way, way, way more keen to move forward with Jane.
Cool. So just to talk about like technical assessments, just because I've said before, they're really important. Companies can't risk hiring someone without the skill set at the moment. There's just not the sort of risk space for that due to the economy and its space at the moment. So yeah, technical assessments, super important, and you will never hear the end of that. So just want to talk about Stan's experience. Stan is not a real human, obviously. So basically, we had Stan, and he was going through this process to work in a company that uses Java stack, right? So what they asked him to do is complete this tech assessment in Java. However, Stan hadn't worked with Java for 2 years. So basically, he had to blow off some cobwebs, and I gave him the advice that he needed to be super insightful about what was really important in terms of his skill set now and where the company needed it to be. So my advice then, with that insight and how he sort of managed to understand his current skill set, is to then send them a message, let the company know from the start, as they sent the assessment, your reply is, hi, thank you very much for the assessment. I'm really looking forward to working on it, but just to let you know, it's been a while since I've worked in Java. I'm very committed to doing the assessment, and I'm excited, but I just need to do a bit of brushing up to learn a few things before I attempt it. You can also mention how you want to do your best in this, and that's why you will take a little bit of time. You can also give them a time frame. Any of these things will show the company that you're proactive in your own job search, and also cognizant of their time and their sort of the risk they're taking, even hiring during this like sort of stage of the world or the world, what the world is in at the moment. So basically setting the context that it wasn't a language he uses every day. He's a little bit rusty. It gave the company a whole load of information that they didn't previously know about Stan's ability to complete that assessment. Versus someone who works with Java every day and completes the same assessment, they're going to look at him under, as the lesser person to employ, right? But since Stan told them that he just needs to brush it up, give me a bit more time, they sort of took it into context that, right, this assessment, like, also he sent his thinking. Don't forget that. He sent his thinking on the process. So they looked at that and they looked at his assessment and they came to the conclusion that, okay, this guy, he does think better in terms of process than, other person X. And so they went along with Stan in the end. The other person was technically more skilled than him with Java at the time, but the company had no problem with that, with Stan showing up and being like, hey, I don't have the skill, but I'm super eager to learn and I'm really excited about it. So yeah, just another way that you can turn it around. It's just better to not leave any of this stuff up to chance and confirm all the information you have with that company. And if you ace that, then you get through to the last step, which Ali's going to give us advice on.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think it's super important. Just don't leave anything to doubt. If you can tell a company something that's going to give them more context so that they can evaluate you in the right mindset, do it. Otherwise, you're losing out on an opportunity. I have known many a Stan, and it breaks my heart when they, just do a solution and they don't kind of show the world around it. So I think that's a super relevant example. Thanks, Sam. But I will wrap up with our final step example. So showing you're passionate. I think it's sometimes can be really abstract around like, oh, what do I say? How do I show this? How do I not come across as like super needy? I know that that's often a fear of a lot of candidates. And so I will use Chantal and Abigail, again, not real human beings. However, we have seen this many a time. So to me, they're real. But I just want to re-emphasize that it's super important by this stage for a company to know that you are keen on them. And it's really important in the way that you communicate. So let's take Chantal, who took a very laid back or laissez-faire approach to her interview process. She's a very bubbly person, very energetic, finds interviewing quite easy. She knows stuff about herself. She does do the research, and she shows up, when she's invited for interviews. But there's not really much extra communication from Chantal in her messaging. She's not communicating that she's like looking forward to the next steps. She's not following up with companies. She's kind of allowing the company to drive the process, as most of us, I would say, pre-COVID kind of did. It was like, if they want me, they'll message me. And that was kind of her approach. And so she managed to get to the final steps with the company, but the hiring manager was like 70% sure that actually this was the company for her. She knew that she had the skills, but there was some uncertainty around whether this was the perfect opportunity for her. And so then we take Abigail, who took a very different approach to her job search. Abigail was not afraid to let the companies know that she likes them. She wasn't afraid to communicate at every touch point when they reached out saying, thank you, I'm so looking forward to the interview. Before the interview, confirming, saying, you're still on for tomorrow, looking forward to it. After the interview, thank you very much for the interview. I really enjoyed talking about X, Y, and Z. If you're keen, I'm keen to move forward. Looking forward to feedback. If she didn't hear back from a company, she followed up with them. You don't have to be intrusive. You can say, like, I know everything's busy, but I just want to know when my feedback's coming because I'm really excited about it. These are the things. They're small little things that add up. And by the time we get into the final interview with Chantal and Abigail, although they might have been of similar technical quality, the hiring manager knows that this is the opportunity Abigail is like so ready for. And what happens is that these small little messages, these small touch points that come through an interview process, they are what create the impression of you as you go through the interview process. Like, again, I only get you on email and I only get you on little Zooms every so often. So use your words to tell companies that you really want to work for them. Often what I've seen is that when it comes down to the final stages, I have had so many candidates get rejected at the final stage when everything is going smoothly, and it's because we found someone that was a better fit. I'll tell you now, this is the better fit. This is the stuff. This is the magic that makes companies believe that you are that better fit. And often this is the kind of stuff that differentiates you from other candidates. You're helping them answer that all-important question around why is this your dream company? So don't leave anything up to doubt. As we've said before, it's really important that you tell them.
Cool. So yeah, I mean, COVID-19, it's happened, it sucks, but there is a new normal and let's just move forward with it now. And we have to accept that good isn't good enough anymore. Not in the tech recruitment marketplace, not right now. So hiring managers need to know that a candidate is going to love working for a company, that you're going to work well with the team, and that you're going to blend into the culture. It's super important because, as we said, and as you know, they've been bruised and battered. COVID's really done a royal on the world. So yeah, employees, teams, we're all fragile, and cultures aren't, they're not free of that feeling. So it's very important for companies to find the right person, and you just need to show them that you are.
100%, Simone. I think I really hope, we've kind of communicated what companies are looking for. They're looking for candidates that are going to show up, do the research, show them that they have the technical ability, and if they don't, show them that they have the commitment to learning the technical ability, and finally show them that they are passionate not only about the role, but as the company itself. And Simone and I basically want to share this with the world because we want our candidates to be those people. We want you guys to be the ones that make it through because you're the ones that stood out and showed yourselves to be the perfect fit. And we hope this presentation has been insightful enough for you to land your next tech job in a pandemic. We would love to hear some questions before we go. I'm sure there's lots of conversations going on. I think, Simone, you have visibility over the questions, so I'll just leave it up to you to let me know.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, I was looking at the first question. Do you have advice specific to those of us applying for their first tech job? Basically, how you should tailor your CV and perhaps, nail that first impression. In this case, I just jotted down a few ideas. I'm sure Ali would agree. So if you have already got work experience, but not in tech, that experience is not useless. You can still use that on your CV to your advantage. But as I said, make it relevant to the role you're applying for. So, for example, if you got experience in teamwork, Scrum and Agile, let's say you worked in a bank, maybe you worked with high frequency, low latency systems, something like that. You have some sort of visibility on that sort of system. Really highlight that in your CV. Look at what the company's using, do that research. And if you're going for a managerial role and you've had one, then, you already have the skills. It's just in the tech sort of space. Yeah, I don't know what you think, Ali.
Yeah, I think if you have prior experience that's not tech, definitely draw everything that you can out of that prior experience and show the transferable skills, people management, conflict resolution, working in teams, etc. But I think one of the biggest sort of benefits is do stuff in your own time. So if this is your first tech role and you're just kind of figuring it out, you need to show companies that you are committed and that you're keen to learn as fast as possible, that you're somebody that does this out of passion or in their free time. It's unlikely that someone would reach out to someone with zero tech experience for a tech role unless there are some projects, GitHub, going and working on things with different friends. If you built something, I know a guy, he built a flying beer tray with one of his friends, which I thought was really cool. I don't really know how the beer stayed up, but that's up to him. And this is what kind of gives hiring managers the insight into you, and the fact that like if they were to hire you in a tech role, there is some foundational knowledge, but that the commitment to learning is really important, and that you're not afraid to kind of ramp yourself up.
Just like pulling on personal projects. So if you're a grad, like online certifications and official certifications are useful, obviously. And especially if you know what role you want to fill, but that can be super difficult as a graduate. So in this case, like personal projects are great. You explore something that you actually want to do, something you're interested in. I know someone that made an app that timed chess. Like it was really small, but it was a chess timer that you could use interactively in a game, and he was interested in chess. So that's it. And it basically, that shows off your technical skills in a project sense. If you had any projects at your sort of like education place, you can also use those. And it also shows your proactivity. But yeah, I just think if you want to join a company that's growth focused, especially building on what Ali was saying, focus on that learning ideal. You as a young developer should be focused on that. It's just in the developer world, because everything's moving so quickly, because everything's changing so rapidly, it's very important to be on that train. Cool. Ali, did you have any other thoughts on there?
No, I think you've nailed it. I think we covered most of the stuff. I don't know if I'm sure there are loads of other questions that we can dive into.
Yes, there are. Cool. So someone, Azeda, sorry if I butcher your name. I'm just English, so I apologize. I have great respect for Duolingo people. Anyway, so cover letters. So we've mentioned CVs, and you said, also, you keep saying don't lie, so how else am I supposed to convince a company that they are my dream company, when in fact my dream company is Google, but we can't all work there, right? So first of all, I want to say, why can't you all work there? I think that's putting a huge blocker in front of you already. I think you should go research it. What do you have to do to get there? If you want to work at Google, go for it. The worst that can happen is that they say no, and they give you constructive feedback, and then you try again. So I would say really go for it. Like if that's your dream, definitely. Cover letters are in case of, you're not trying to make your CV more focused towards the role you're applying for, which I would argue is not the correct thing to do. Don't make a uniform CV. Rather just tailor your CV to the role you're applying for. And you can always edit it like small ways just to make it fit a bit better. And you put in like a very brief sort of explanation of who you are to give them a personal note of you. But I wouldn't suggest writing a whole other cover letter unless it's required. I think hiring managers are just going through a lot of this stuff, and unless they want to know more, don't give them more. It can make your process worse.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, cover letter, usually on a CV, what you kind of want to see is like a little about me blurb. Maybe 1 to 2 paragraphs, doesn't have to be a whole page. And that's really where you can tailor it to the specific company. So say you're applying for a managerial role, you want to highlight the managerial experience you've had and where you want to go in the future as a manager in that space. Say you're really passionate about moving into a banking industry, you make reference on what experience you've had in that industry, or if not, your personal preference, and then say that this is what you're looking for going forward. And then you would send that to the banking companies. So it doesn't have to be, thumb sucking, what do I have to write? You need to think like, why would I want to work for this company? And then you need to write that down. And then you need to think about what information would be useful for this company to know, to think, actually, I want to interview this person. And so if, for example, you see someone's culture is all about growth and learning, highlight your growth and learning. Show how much reading you've done, what stuff you've done on your personal time. If a company is more about, I'm trying to think, what could be other things? Growth and learning is usually one of the biggest. If someone's like, we always have the newest technologies and we're like super innovative, then you want to write about the fact that like you learn new technologies all the time, that maybe you even consider yourself to be tech agnostic. Like there are things that you can, without lying, just align as quick as possible. But it doesn't have to be this massive page. As we're saying, oversaturated market, to the point, answer the question, why should I have my first interview with you? Yeah, I don't know if you have
let's run on to the next question. So So we are looking here. So Rebecca wanted to know if there was any specific advice for landing the first interview with little or lack of experience. She's just finished a boot camp and is now sending out her CV, but she's finding it difficult to secure any interviews. So cool. Let's go into advice. Ali, any tips from you?
So I think it's pretty similar to wanting to break it, like similar advice to what we were saying about wanting to break into a tech role for the first time. Essentially, you want to kind of, I want to say, inflate the experience that you've had while still being true. So you want to make, like, if you built this tiny little thing, make it seem big. Make it like, I worked on this project. It was just me. It took like 6 months and we worked on these technologies and this is the things we did. You want to potentially mention if you're involved in any like meetups or conferences, or if you've done any online courses. Sometimes it can also just be easier to see if you can find some word of mouth. See if there's any like friends that you know that work in companies that know that there are some junior roles there often goes a long way in getting your foot into the door. But I think a strong grad or junior CV is all about, I can learn really quickly, and this is how I can show you that I've done that. Sam, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No, I think you pretty much covered it. Like, as Ali said, even if it's teeny tiny, make it like, you know, it's your experience. You can go into all of the things that it taught you. Cool. So, Komocho? No, sorry, I really butchered your name there, my dude. But yeah, Komocho wants to know how you deal with the compensation question if it's the first thing that's asked in a get-to-know-you phone call. Is this normal? It's not like super rare. It does happen. Like at OfferZen, we try and make everything very, very transparent and like known from the start. So we display salary expectation on a profile, and you chat up to your talent advisor about like why you should have a certain salary expectation or why it's suggested to go a certain way. And you guys sort of engage with the talent advisor on that. So it is like known from the beginning, but it's not always common that you do get that in the first phone call. But if you did, I would say be open and honest. If you have a range that you can do, then put that range and explain your situation and why you're looking for that. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that, Ali.
Yeah, my thoughts about this of a company asking it in the first stage is kind of the similar way that I say to candidates, don't mention money in the first stage. So I think if it does come up, my first instinct would to be like, why is this question important at this time? See where they're coming from. If they probe a little deeper, I don't know, sometimes it just does happen where companies will ask what your current salary is. In my opinion, I think if you are quite confident in saying that you prefer not to disclose it and that you would prefer the interview process to kind of allow for the evaluation of your salary to work out. And if you don't want to say that route, you can also just tell the company, actually, I haven't really thought about it yet at this stage. I would like to see how the interview process progresses further so that I can get a sense of the role and the responsibilities before I give you a salary range, as I know that each role and each company that I interview with is probably going to have different expectations, or I'll have different expectations of them. So that's if you don't want to like box yourself into an amount. But I also know some candidates that don't want to move forward with companies unless they can offer amount. I think if you are in that block where the salary is the most important thing to you in that next stage, probably being open and honest in the early stages is best. You don't want to waste time. And so, you know, if you're like, I need this salary in order to get, you know, I mean, highly skilled migrant visa, for example, I know has a restriction. So say it, it's what you need. It's what you need. So if you can't, if there isn't a range, or if you do feel comfortable just saying this is what I need, then I think don't be afraid. But if you do feel uncertain and you feel like you need more time, then be honest with the company that you need more time to evaluate the opportunity before you can let them know.
Definitely, yeah. Cool. So next question, you said that the CV should not be too long. How long is too long? Would 3 pages be too much? Ali?
Oh, yeah. So I would say yes. I heard a horrific stat that hiring managers don't spend longer than 3 seconds clicking through a LinkedIn profile. which is not fun. And it's like you need to make that impression literally as soon as you go. So the first things you want to see is that little blurb explanation and the sort of maybe summarize of the skill of the experience that you've had and skills, and then later on in the CV you can go into further detail about projects and that kind of stuff. So use the first page as like, this is all the important things that you need to see of me, and you can have additional insights. Should the hiring manager want to turn that page, they can get additional information. Obviously we're in 2021 now. 2010 was like 11 years ago. And so even, I mean, it doesn't feel that long ago to me, but CVs are now getting so long because we've been in the market for a while. And so previous experiences, I would say anything beyond 10 years, just say like, we can discuss more, and just have the company name and the role and the technologies. Reduce it. I promise you, you're not going to have someone be like, what did you do in 2005? It's probably irrelevant. You want to highlight the most relevant skills, which is your most recent work history. Everything else past there, unless you've been working at the company recently, does lose relevance.
Definitely. And remember, you can always like link an extra website or something like that with your extended experience. That's always really nice for companies. Also, the fact that you have a website is quite cool for companies as well. Show off your work in like project tabs and stuff like that, and make it really spicy. Like people froth on that. So definitely check that out. Yeah. I don't know if you definitely agree.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's way easier to digest information when it's like a fun, interactive website. I know not everyone has the ability to do that, but if it is in your repertoire, I do definitely recommend. It's a lot more fun. And it's easy to navigate. And it's like nice when you link it to the GitHub, you know, repositories or whatever, and you can really get to feel of the certain projects. I was actually going to reference like images or screenshots of your work as like, you know, a grad or a junior, or someone who went to a boot camp. If you have like, you know, pieces of code that you're particularly proud of that you made, like you can screenshot them and add images or link to GitHub, that kind of stuff. Showing work is really beneficial. I think if you're a web developer or front-end developer, eye candy matters. And so, yeah, I found it to be a lot. You want to engage with the profile more if there are some sort of interactive bits there, and images often work.
Cool. Definitely agree there, man. Cool. So let's head on to the next one. What do hiring managers look at first? CV, LinkedIn, cover letter.
Depends on where they're seeing you from.
Yeah. I mean, if they're looking through LinkedIn and they come across your LinkedIn profile, then that's like, it's too late. But if you're applying for a job and they request your CV, I know that OfferZen, we look at CVs first, and if there's no CV, then we'll look at the LinkedIn profile. But usually we do check both. And then cover letter, hardly. Yeah.
Often, if your CV is not like nice and neat, I will often go to different places to try and understand who this person is. Flag, it's really not nice when your CV and your LinkedIn are not the same. Like, like
very confusing.
Years that you've worked at companies, guys, come on, make them the same. You should know your experience. I don't know your experience. So don't tell me you started in 2018 and then this one's 2019. How am I supposed to know? So synergy is key. But usually the first thing that they would look at is however you apply. So if a company has reached out to you on LinkedIn, they've been browsing your LinkedIn. If you've applied directly for them, they've seen your CV, usually they would verify that you're a real human being by looking on LinkedIn. I often do that. I'm like, is the name spelled right? Is all the things right? And so, yeah, I would say it's first point of call, but make them the same. I know that obviously you said that you want to tailor your CVs to different companies, and then LinkedIn is a bit difficult. You can still have the same about me. So hopefully like who you are would still be the same, but you would just leave out that sort of paragraph around like why I'm good for your company would, you know, be unique per company.
Definitely. Yeah. Let's back that. Cool. And then next question. So any advice for a third year business analyst student, front end and back end orientated, to increase the chances of getting into the job market, as time is something students have? Online certifications are always a goodie if that's like what you referring to with time. Like if you want to certify more, if you know where you want to go, Udemy is always a great place for that in the tech world. But yeah, I don't know what would you say, Ali?
I do
Sorry,
think, yeah, no, so I do think sometimes it's easier just to kind of get that stamp of approval by like a registered organization. I am curious. I want to know more about what kind of advice you're specifically looking for. Is it like in how to present yourself, or just how to find a job? But if you are, into the job market. Sorry, I see that now. Read the question.
Cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I think online certifications, and then again, just trying to do stuff in your own time. If you don't have the opportunity to do it at work, if you are in like working with developers in your current company, try and see if you can get involved in some of the stuff that they do. Even though you'll be officially a business analyst, if you're working with others, try see what they can do. Try ask your company if you can try do like little internal projects or collaborate with people, and then inflate that on your CV. Be like, I have worked with this team and we did this thing. You're not lying, but you're just showing that that's the most relevant experience.
Cool. So next question. Should I apply for jobs and meet companies, although I don't feel ready for technical interviews or challenges for interview experience? Or should I apply when I'm ready? Do you want to start with this one, Ali?
I think a lot of people never really are ready. And that's why often I say over preparation is the way to go. It's kind of like, I've used this example with candidates before. It's like you have an exam that you need to prepare for, and you kind of never really feel prepared. But there is this point where you've read the textbook enough times, you've practiced example questions, you've done all the things, that at some point you've got to close the book and say, bring it on. Like whatever question you have to ask me, I've done the foundational research. So there are plenty online, like HackerRank, for example, has numerous amounts of practice tests that you can do. Coursera also has practice tests that you can do. Udemy has interview courses, like literally how to interview, so you can try practice there. There's also great YouTube channels where people take you through common questions, and you can kind of like, you know, talk with yourself and kind of get that feeling of what it's like to do an interview for the first time. I think the first one is always going to be a little nerve-wracking, just like writing an exam and setting it down is always going to be nerve-wracking no matter how much you've studied. So I would say throw yourself in just so that the first one will be done, and then you can just learn and keep growing. And I think the biggest point here is ask for feedback. So if you don't make it through, or at a point where you end up dropping out of the process, use the opportunity to ask the company, listen, I really want to improve on how I perform in the interview process for my next opportunities. Do you have any feedback for me? That can also, it can be hard to hear, but it can also be really helpful when you go forward. And eventually, if you have enough feedback, you're able to kind of squash all of the variants in there that could potentially sabotage the sort of process. Sam, I don't know if you have any more feedback there.
I think you pretty much covered that spot on. As I said, with the person that wants to work at Google, just do it. Just do it. Nike didn't put $1 million into that for like no reason. It's seriously like, just take a chance. Like it's an opportunity. It's a chance you can take. You just do it. Yeah, that's the best advice I can give. Life's too short not to.
Practice, practice, practice. Lean on the websites. The interwebs are amazing. There are so many sites that you can practice just to ease that like initial scariness of the first step. Or, I mean, some of these companies use HackerRank as their first assessment, and then you're going and practicing HackerRank tests. Like, it doesn't get more like easy than that to just like kind of get an understanding of what you can expect.
Definitely, yeah. Cool. So we have the last question. Do recruiters really check the LinkedIn skill badges? When applying on LinkedIn, sometimes you get an alert in case you have a preferred skill badge. Does that really matter?
I'm going to say yes. So I have recently, I've made friends with someone who's a recruiter in America, and he was kind of taking me through how recruiters on the back end of LinkedIn use LinkedIn. And often it's search filters. So they'll search your title, they'll search your skills, they'll search your location, and sometimes education if that's important. And so it is really important to have your top skills there. don't overload it, and keep it up to date. Keep it with things that you want to work with going forward. Don't have PHP there if you don't want to work with PHP, because you'll get someone reaching out to you for PHP. Like, this is the way that it is. I do know that often some of us, well, not me, but some of us get labeled with the software developer or software engineer title as their official title. I would say hack it and call yourself what you are, Java developer, Node.js developer, whatever it is, as your most recent title, because when I type in Node.js, then you're going to come up. So yeah, often it is kind of this weird hacking of how the profile looks, because LinkedIn doesn't give you access to all of the bits. And so yeah, skills are very important, and avoid irrelevant skills, clean it up so that you don't get irrelevant requests, because I know that that's a thing.
Definitely. Yeah, I think, yeah, you covered it, Ali, in definitely answering that question.
It's just because I've literally been asked this question a few times, so it's relevant.
Awesome. Perfect. So yeah, thanks so much for the questions, guys. We really appreciated you collaborating. Sorry we didn't have time to do everyone's questions. You can always connect with us on LinkedIn moving forwards, and pop us a message if you have a question. We'd be happy to answer it there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out and watching us talk about this. Yeah,
we hope that it's been insightful, and yeah, like Simone said, we would love to have you guys add us directly on LinkedIn. We're happy to answer any questions. This is what we do, so we're happy to continue.
Thank you, Ali and Simone. Really, thank you so much for all the insightful tips that you've provided today, and thank you for coming on so late in your local time to give us this very interesting session on what we can improve upon. So really want to say thank you, guys. If any of the people that attended this event have additional questions, feel free to pop on over on LinkedIn. Try to find Ali. I had some difficulties finding you on LinkedIn. I think your name's Alexandra Marsh on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my formal name.
Exactly.
Formerly Alexandra, but everyone in my life calls me Ali. But Marsh is the same, and my picture looks just like me. So.
Exactly. So if you want to find Alexandra Marsh, it is. I believe Simone, that is her real name. So you can put that there.
Through and through.
If you guys are also interested in finding more out about OfferZen, feel free to check out their website. Okay, especially for the developers. Feel free to sign up and let the magic work for you. So yeah. I just want to thank everyone for attending, for participating, and for asking all your questions. I personally really enjoyed the questions that were here, and obviously the insights that the two have provided. And for everybody listening, wish you a very successful job hunt. I'm sure we'll be in touch. And for Ali and Simone, a nice evening.
Bye, everyone. Thank you again. It was really fun. I had a good time.